oud, just to raise awareness, inshallah, of the blessed tree. I was, to be honest with you, introduced to oud. It's called oud, it's called agarwood in English, or aloes wood as well. It's mentioned in the Old Testament, aloes, the word aloes. In the Far East it's called gaharu or jinko as well. In Arabic they call it oud, or uluwa is another word used for it in Sahih Al-Bukhari, which we're going to speak about. So obviously it's this fragrant, dark resinous wood which is used as an incense, as a perfume, and it comes from the Aquilaria tree. It's a species of tree called the Aquilaria tree, which only grows in the Far East. Okay, the climate in the Far East is perfect for that tree. It doesn't really grow anywhere else. And it's one of the most expensive natural raw materials in the world. So the highest quality can go for $100,000 per kilo. $100,000 per kilo. It's more than gold, which is more expensive than gold. And obviously the lowest quality you can probably get for $100 a kilo. So there's a variation of quality when it comes to oud. I was introduced to oud through Islam. To be honest with you, when I accepted Islam, we'd go to gatherings and they'd be burning this incense on the burner like this. So that intrigued me, about burning incense, and I got into it that way. And then after accepting Islam, I booked a trip to the Middle East, to Dubai. Actually, it's my first visit to a Muslim country. And I had a friend who I later found out was from Yemen, but he said he was from Saudi and he was living in Somalia and he got exiled. So all of it was a lie, but he was actually Yemeni, which I found out later on. And I visited his house as well when I was in Yemen. in Sana'a. And before I went, he said, try to find some oud. He also said, what is it? So just write it down for me in Arabic, and I'll try to look for it. So he wrote it down, Dahnul oud. He writes it on a piece of paper. He says, bring me back some oud. He says, make sure you spend at least £50. So I was like, whoa, okay then. He says, I'll pay you for it, don't worry, but just make sure you spend at least £50, don't get the cheap one. So when I get to Dubai, I'm going into these little shops trying to look for it. And all these tacky shops in the souk, they kept giving me this low quality oud you can buy for £5, £10 a bottle, until I found one that was about £40. I took that, and also I bought some what's called bakhur as well, and I bought the whole kit as well. Remember, my hotel room was smoked full of this bakhur. So it's because of Islam, I got into it. And then I, started ordering this oud as well, from the Far East, very early on when I became Muslim. And then when I went to Yemen to study, again, we found it there. It was so popularly used in Yemen, and also they're using frankincense as well. Mainly the Gulf Arabs, they use it in the Levant, in Syria, in Jordan and Lebanon. They not really into it. Egypt, you can hardly find it used there. So it's mainly the Gulf Arabs, Saudi, Kuwait, Qatar, Yemeni. It's an age-old tradition that they've had of burning oud and burning incense in their gathering. And it's an $8 billion market a year.
8 billion.
8 billion, yeah. So it's a massive market, and it's growing as well, because of the scarcity of the oud. So it's a very complex fragrance. You get woody, you get some woody notes from some fragrance. Sometimes you get a fruity or a floral. You might get a greeny one. You might get like a fecally type of smell as well, or an earthy smell. So it's a very, very complex fragrance. And this is one of the reasons why it hasn't been synthesized. properly. There are two types of synthetic oud, which you'll find in many designer fragrances. You use it, like Hugo Boss, and D&G, and all of these other fragrances. The majority of it is synthetic oud. And there are two types of synthetic oud. They're just two particular notes of oud that they managed to synthesize. But the range of oud is so complex that it's impossible to recreate the different notes that you'll find. This is obviously the incense, the wood that we're burning. It's not to be confused with bakhor. Bakhor is just a general name for any incense. Normally if you buy bakhor, you'll get a mixture of maybe very low grade agarwood that is just mixed up, or bits of wood that have been dipped in attar, dipped in fragrance, or sometimes it's frankincense crushed up and dipped in fragrance, and that's sold. Sometimes it comes in pellets or blocks or in a powder form. So a lot of that is actually not good for you, to be honest with you. Very unnatural. So what happens, and this tree is becoming rarer and rarer as we go on. In 10 years time, the oud that we bought today may have doubled in price. We don't know how it's going to go. So it's a good investment for you to make as well. So what actually happens is that the tree, the Aquilaria tree, it gets attacked by a particular type of fungus. And when it gets attacked by that fungus, as a defense mechanism, it releases the oil to defend itself. And then as it's releasing this oil, the tree is slowly dying as well. So it's actually, a dying tree until it completely dies, So you're actually burning a dying tree. And you can probably see, if you have a look, you can see the oil coming out of the oud here. So to extract the oil, we use two techniques. Usually steam distillation, or CO2, to extract the oil from the wood. So these are modern techniques that are used to actually extract the oil. And it takes about 2 kilos of wood just to extract a 3 milliliter bottle of oil. So it takes a lot of wood just to extract it. Or usually I use a lower grade type of wood, not the incense grade type of wood. Apart from Ansar, wood uses incense grade wood to extract the oil. But usually use lower grade type of wood to extract the oil, so they can sell the incense grade for burning incense. So there are 7 species of that tree, Aquilaria, tree that agarwood is extracted from. So it says here, just reading from Wikipedia here, the composition of agarwood is exceedingly complex, with more than 150 compounds that have been identified for it. So it's very difficult to replicate something like that. As for the religious aspect, there are 2 narrations about oud. One of them is in Sahih Muslim. There are probably more. I've got the ones that I know of. One of them is in Sahih Muslim, and it mentions that Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, he used to fumigate with oud. He used to fumigate with oud alone, and sometimes he would fumigate with oud and camphor. And he says, this is how I saw the Messenger of Allah, so some fumigating. So Ibn Umar companions, it's an age-old tradition amongst the Arabs. It's mentioned in the Sanskrit, Vedas, for the Indian scriptures. There are recordings from ancient China, ancient Japan, about how people collected the agarwood. So it's been used in those regions for a very, very long time. But it's only become popular in the West with, you know, designer fragrances like you've got Tom Ford Oud Wood. It's become very popular in other fragrance houses. Maison France is called Dijon. There are some the higher end fragrances they do use natural oud oil, like Roja fragrances. You pay £500 for about a 50ml bottle or more. That's got real oud. Maison France is called Dijon. They use the oud from Laos. They use oud from Laos. So that's real oud in it. And if you're paying less than £200 for a bottle, it's probably not got any real oud in it. It's behind Christian Dior. I think that's synthetic. It's not. No, there's no problem. You know, if it's a nice fragrance, it's a nice fragrance. Yeah. Oud is for it. Yeah, I've tried it. Lasts all day. Yeah. Obviously, you know, scent is something. You know, the price of scent is something subjective. If you like it, if it smells nice, that's not an issue. But obviously, for natural oud oil, you're going to pay for something, you know, very, very high. But sometimes you use a mixture of natural and synthetic. You might find that as well. And then there's another hadith as well, where the Prophet ﷺ, he speaks about people entering into Jannah. It's in Sahih Al-Bukhari, and the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, he says that everybody will, when a person enters into Jannah, his face will be radiating like the full moon, and everybody will have two wives. When he enters, he'll have two wives. You know, he speaks about two wives. As soon as you enter Jannah, there'll be two wives waiting for you there. And you'll have palaces, and it goes on. And it says the sweat of the people of Jannah will be musk. And they won't have any type of spit, any saliva, phlegm. They won't defecate. And he says that the bone marrow, you know, the beauty of the leg of one of the wives would be so radiant that you can see right through the bone marrow of her leg. And then at the end of the hadith, also the Messenger of Allah says they will glorify Allah day and night, and they'll do tahmeed of Allah. They'll be saying Alhamdulillah and Subhanallah day and night. They'll be doing the dhikr of Allah day and night, the people of Jannah. And then at the end of the hadith, it says Majamiruhum uluwa. He says that incense burners are uluwa, and uluwa is the Arabic word for oud. And for this, I won't be burning here. So one narration says that the fuel of their incense burners will be uluwa, and another narration says that the incense burners will be uluwa. So it may mean that the incense burners themselves are made out of oud. There are some ancient furnitures in China that have been made out of oud wood that are over 1,000 years old, and the smell is still coming off them. The smell's still coming off. There's a video on YouTube. It's with Jackie Chan, I think. I don't know if you've seen it. He actually rubs the chain. The smell is still coming off it. It's over 1,000 years old, this chair, made out of oud wood. You know, so that's high quality of oud. You know, so there are etiquettes as well to burning oud. A lot of us, it may be new for us. It's a bit different from the agarwood you just put in the corner of the masjid. So there are etiquettes to burning oud. First of all, you need a burner, and burn a good one. This is quite good. It's quite spacious. You can handle it safe. The important thing is that you do everything safely. You keep safe when you're burning oud. You know, the Moroccan or the Syrian ones with the lid. they can get very hot because all of it is made out of metal. So when you put the coal in, touch it, it's too hot for you to touch. Those are just used, actually supposed to be for the sticks, incense sticks, not for burning coal in, because they get far too hot for you to touch. And so best is something like this, very sturdy, stable, or something that has a handle on. You must, also have a pair of tongs as well. In case it would fall, sometimes it falls off. You might have to put it back on, and you may need to flick it off, or it might fall on the floor. You need to pick it up quickly. So always have a pair of tongs. If you don't have any, you should always have a pair of tongs at the ready as well. And the coal, of course, there are different types of coal you can get. The self-lighting coal is quite good. Swift light charcoal is probably the best one. Swift light charcoal. So you light that and it will light up itself. After a short while, it's very easy to light. And then you need a lighter as well. I use just a small blowtorch, little blowtorch. You can heat up the coal, point at any angle, and heat up the coal very quickly. You can get them from B&Q or even Asda or whatever, or Wicks. Once the coal's lit, the mistake that people make is immediately they throw either oud on or the bukhur on. It's a mistake. There's one, if it's not lit properly, once you cover it with something, it will put it out, it will extinguish the coal, especially if you put too much on. And two, in the beginning stages, it's very, very hot, the coal. So sometimes, especially with oud, it's good to have a layer of ash on top of it and then put it on. Otherwise, the oud, the wood, it burns very quickly and it just incinerates the wood. Okay. So once you've put it on, don't use too much. Just use small pieces at a time. There's no need to chuck loads of it on. Just tiny pieces. Put it on and watch it. Okay. The best oud breaks very easily, and you'll see it bubbling. You see the oil bubbling from that oud. If it's not bubbling, there's something wrong. There's something wrong with that oud. Okay, you should have oil content where you can see it bubbling up. I've just moved this, and you can see the bubbles coming out of it just from that corner. And then I put on there. So just put a little bit on at a time. I don't leave it on to burn completely. As soon as it's done, just flick it off. Flick it off, otherwise the smell will change. And don't ever flip it over either. That's what I used to do in the beginning days. I didn't want to burn all of it. So you used to flip it. If you flip it over, then a different smell will come out. So always burn it on the same side, and then you can just flick that off. Once it's done. And that's about it. Anything else you need to mention?
It looks the same all the way.
Yeah, the consistency should be consistency in the wood. So there's a lot of con artists as well out there that would try to rip you off. Obviously, it's an expensive item. So if somebody can rip you off, they're going to rip you off. So we've seen people, they've purchased bits of wood that have been dipped in itar, in perfume, and passed off as oud. Somebody will sell you that £50 a packet, and you'll be none the wiser. So there's con artists out there. There's a sinking grade level of oud, which is the highest grade of oud. Sinking grade means if you place it in a cup of water, it will sink to the bottom of the glass. My contact, you just got some in now as well. You just got some in. Sinking grade. So you put it in water, it sinks to the bottom because of the amount of oil in the wood. Okay, so that's the highest quality of oud. So what we found, some people they're filling it with cement or metal ball bearings, injecting it, and I just to pass it off as sinking grade. I used to break it, have a look and check it. But there's a lot of scams going on out there.
So in your opinion, so which one? Because you've got Indian, you've got Burmese, Cambodian,
Yeah.
etc. What in your opinion, what level do you reckon each one, are they all in their own little league? Or
No, it just depends. The quality of the wood or the quality of the oil, that's going to depend on the age of the tree. The older the tree, the better the oil. So you've got trees over 100 years old. You know, they're going to give very good oil. When the sources started to deplete, in India, you know, oud is very, very rare now. They've depleted a lot of the source, you know, the sources for oud in India. So what they do is start planting new trees. They were doing this, you know, 15 years ago, or even longer. So those trees are probably about 20 years old now. So sometimes before the tree is fully grown, they'll cut that off and sell it. But it doesn't give a very good fragrance. It's not the same as a tree that's 100 years old. And also what they're doing is they're injecting the tree with the parasite, with the fungus, so that it produces the oil, which gives a different smell. My contact in Thailand said it causes an allergic reaction. I don't know if it's true, but he doesn't touch any of that injected wood. He says it causes some type of allergic reaction, but Allah Alam. So, you know, those are the things how to avoid when buying. Yeah, but obviously the way, you know, the water that you use even can affect the smell. You know, if the water's a little bit dirty, it can affect the outcome of the oil. The age of the tree, the location, every location will give a different smell. So, you know, so even in Thailand, even in Vietnam, every different area is going to give the wood will give a slightly different smell. That's why we said it's very, very complex. So you might get that fecal, animalic, barnyard smell from some regions. You might get like a medicinal, mentholy type of smell from others, an earthy smell from other places, woody smell from another place, greeny, floral from other, sweet. It's an amazing, it's just an amazing tree. And also it just depends. Depends. It's not really about the location. It's about the way it's been treated and the age of. Generally, Cambodian is a bit more milder. The oud from there, South Thailand and Cambodia, it's a bit milder, a bit more easygoing for people. So this is a good one for beginners. The beginners, you know, they don't want that overpowering oud smell. I start off with the Cambodian.
What part of Thailand did you get that from?
This is from, some of it's actually from Laos, and some of it's from South Thailand, some of it's from North.
Or did you go all around?
No, I didn't go all around, no. It's just the different places where the trees are.
So that can last for ages now? That'll last a lifetime, basically.
Yeah, it won't go off. It's wood. It's not going to go off. It's not going to go off. How long is this going to last? This is wood. And how long will that chair last if you just leave it? It'll be there for another 2,000 years, you know, even more. This wood, it's not going to go off. Even the oil, it actually improves with age. You know, so the longer you leave it, the more it will ferment, and the richer it will get. So it gets better with age.
Much better than Bitcoin.
This is a good investment. Good investment. So you could, buying oil now, that is, whatever, and then after 10 years, you can say this is an oil from 2018. And sell that. Sell it for easily 5 times the price. Easily, someone will snap that off you in an instant.
So is it from the actual bark or the fruit, or does it matter?
Yeah, that can differ as well from depending on the place where it's taken. It will give you a different smell. So it's amazing.
They use it all. They use it all. Yeah.
Even shaving.
Yeah.
You don't grow one here in like a greenhouse?
A greenhouse, maybe. A greenhouse climate. If you give it, you might be able to.
Yeah.
But it's a tree, isn't it? So how big is the greenhouse going to be?
Keep chopping it down.
You could probably do it in a greenhouse, yeah. Then you got to come back 20 years later, 30 years later, if you're still alive. And
Did you have shavings?
no. The Worldwide factory is probably all over the place.
What if you do it with some of the trees here? Whatever trees and stuff, what kind of smell do they give off?
Give it a try and see what happens. It's probably set your house on fire. So it's Ajib. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's place, the most amazing things, in the most unusual places. So think about ambergris. It's another expensive fragrance product. Well, where does it come from? Ambergris. It's a fragrance, amber. Even Roger Dove, he's got his amber oud. He's been used in fragrances, many different fragrances. It actually comes from the sperm whale, and it's the mucus of the sperm whale. It's the snot of the sperm whale. So what happens, it will come close to the shore and you just spit it out through its sperm whale. It's got like a passage in its head, and it will spit that out, that mucus out. And it comes out like an big orange blob. And just spits it out onto the shore, and that's where you get ambergris. If you find one of them, you've hit the jackpot. People have been walking on the beach and they just found one of those. Alas, 100 grand. Then musk. Where is musk from? The Prophet said, "Atyab al-tib al-misk." Musk is the most pleasant of fragrances. And he would wear musk and amber as well. He would wear a mixture of musk and amber, the Prophet ﷺ, called al-Ghaliya. Where's musk from? Yeah, it's from a particular deer. It's not every type of deer. It's a particular deer. It's called a musk deer. It's a bit smaller than maybe a normal sized deer, and it has 2 fangs. It's like a vampiric type of animal that has actually fangs at the side of its mouth. Looks a bit weird, actually. And you'll find that musk deer in northern Pakistan, in China, those regions, Central Asia. That's where that particular deer is, and it's an endangered animal, of course, now because very expensive. So where does the musk come from? It's actually the secretions from the stomach glands of the deer. And all that gathers up those secretions into a small ball. When it gets to a certain size, the deer will actually rub on a rock to rub that ball off. And we take that and we make. People have been making fragrance out of it for eons. But one of the most expensive items.
Thought to use these.
Yeah,
resources.
he was the first person to think of it. I don't know. But what's happening now? People are killing the deer just to get that pod, and instead of waiting for it to rub it off itself and looking for it, killing the deer for one of those pods. So it's a lot of money. So that's an endangered animal. Even oud, the tree, it's listed as potentially endangered, tree, because of excessive harvesting over the years. But the biggest consumers have been the Gulf Arabs by far. So they use it in the gatherings and yeah, they can afford it. Yeah, but they've used it for centuries. It's just an age-old tradition. Not from them. Any questions? You need to revive the practice of burning oud, wearing nice fragrances. The Prophet would hate disgusting fragrances, and he refused to eat garlic, and he refused to eat leek, kuraf, which has been translated as leek. I'm not too sure in the hadith. The Messenger of Allah refused to eat it, not because it wasn't halal. But he said, I speak to those who you don't speak to, I mean the angels. I address the angels. So he refused to have any type of foul smell on him. And even though his own sweat was the fragrance of musk, the companion said the sweat of the Messenger was even more fragrant than musk. Even though that was the case, I used fragrances. He still burned oud. I still wore musk and amber and other fragrances. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it's something that is highly recommended. And it's a lost sunnah amongst, especially Muslims from the Indian subcontinent. It seems to be a lost sunnah. As you go into the masjid, all you smell is cigarettes, smelly socks, salan, or pakoras. It's not nice. It's not nice. If we came to this country smelling nice, the non-Muslims, they would have said, man, them Muslims, they're always smelling nice. That would have been the biggest dawah for us. We've never ever known a Muslim to smell stinky. If we just came smelling nice, that would have been, massive dawah. So these little things that we need to be aware of in the sunnahs. Once we revive these little sunnahs, they'll have a massive influence. We shouldn't neglect them. Inshallah, we stop there, inshallah.